class president of the class, right? And there was someone who's way more qualified than I was who actually became vice president, and I was probably a huge dickhead, and she probably did the majority of the work. And when I say probably, I mean that's essentially what happened. And but I learned a lot, and we worked together on a lot of stuff and things like that. But it was a really good experience, and I would have probably never done that if I was like, hey, I can do this, let's do this, like I deserve this, let's do, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And it made me, unfortunately, the lesson I learned from it is like, hey, don't throw your hat over the fence, because you probably will turn into a dickhead, you know what I mean? But like,
it was a humbling experience.
It was, yeah, very much so. And I don't mean to say like it was super hard being president of my junior class, but like it was something where it's like, oh man, no, I didn't know what I was doing. So maybe next time, like, you know what I mean? I'm glad I did it, but you know what I mean? That you learn a lot from that.
Keep yourself in check.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's cool.
Nice. Let's see what I wrote down.
You want me to read it again?
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm playing on what somebody else said was, I think I have trouble giving feedback without like, and I'll explain this with an answer to your question. What was the question now?
You want me to do?
Yeah.
How does your ego serve you, and how does it hinder you?
This was a good one, because what my ego looks like is like
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You said you feel like it's hard for you to give feedback.
Give
feedback.
Yeah, I don't like to, because I don't like to get it. Like, I'm just like, I don't have to tell you that.
Do you realize?
I only do it in conversations. Like, I
Okay,
don't offer it anytime. It has to get like rough for me to be like, you know what, you're this, and then you get the real shit. And that's my ego. My ego's got a gun, and the gun is straight to the point. Like, he's not gonna use it, but like if I'm pulling it out, it's fucking being used. You know what I mean? Like, and I got a microphone in the left hand. The microphone is more effective than this stupid gun, because then essentially like I shoot myself.
Is there
and
any
there's like a
sarcasm in
painting.
there?
No, that's real.
There's definitely sarcasm. Like, not in that specific conversation right there,
Yeah.
but like I think that your ego has a bit of sarcasm.
Yeah, because it wants to avoid
There's certain
Getting
things that
fired back on, so if
no, you don't want to hurt.
right
I
then.
really don't want to shoot people. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the better
it didn't
metaphor.
sound like that before.
No, like
don't
I have
think-
alternatives, but like, why do I have to? I don't want to give feedback. It's gonna be real bad. Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't want it either. I don't want it either. So yeah, but that's my ego. I was gonna tell it what it looks like, but great question. Great question.
I do
Because
like that question.
So let me make sure I understand. You're anti-feedback, giving it and receiving it. If
I
you
don't.
gotta-
I
if
have
you gotta think
trouble. No,
about it,
I said
then
I have
maybe you're
trouble giving feedback. I have
It
trouble
makes you
giving.
uncomfortable
Well,
doing
you said
both.
it's hard for you to give it because you don't like getting it.
It's hard to give because you don't like getting feedback. Of
Right,
course not.
so you don't
But
like giving
do I
or
have
giving?
trouble taking it? No, I can take feedback.
I feel like it's tough to.
I know. I feel like
feedback sometimes.
Brian's looking at me funny, but no, there's a few things that land that
So-
I'm like,
What do you
"Ooh,
got
I-
over there?
He's like,
Don't
you
bother
shit
me
on me
anymore."
all the
Well,
time.
he said that he likes.
So I'm part of team. Keep it 100.
I'm trying to keep team keep
Yeah.
it 100 too.
Sick.
Just because it doesn't get a response when you decide to give someone feedback doesn't mean it didn't. It could either land or not land. If it doesn't, then your assessment is wrong. Like,
Wait, say it again.
if you're giving somebody feedback, it doesn't always have to land.
So like
And
if I'm giving you feedback,
if
for
you're getting
example,
mad about or feeling differently about the feedback you're giving me, like it's not landing, like maybe it's just not landing.
Okay, so I feel like the time that I get to have some type of feeling towards that is when I know that feedback has been delivered multiple times.
For sure. So it either comes a time where people need to stop, like obviously it's not a big deal.
Like stop and take a look at it, or just
Or-
keep being a dickhead.
Is it just my, if I'm going to speak about myself, that's my being effective. Like, people just need to stop saying it. It doesn't bother. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't-
but like.
if it's not hurting anyone else, then I don't
It's like,
think
Joe,
it's
quit saying the
necessary.
N-word all the time. Why are you always
Yeah,
saying
I'll
the
be
N-word?
like,
I mean, you
yeah,
should probably
I'm not
like,
gonna-
I
I'll
bring that
stop.
up a whole lot.
I'll
Like-
stop. I'll stop.
Yeah,
doing
okay,
that.
good,
Yeah.
good. So some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like you wouldn't argue against not using that
Not using what?
the N-word.
I don't think people. Are we gonna have that discussion? People shouldn't use it. I don't think
I'm
people
just-
should use it if they feel like they can use it. Like,
Well,
I don't wanna
you
get
didn't have a
into
problem
this.
calling Katie fingers. You're saying
Because
well, it's not her nickname, but I get to call
It's
her
part of
whatever I
her
want.
nickname, Magic Fingers. No, it's not insulting
How do you know?
because she didn't say it was, or she would. Like, then
But
the
you don't
person
get
would say.
feedback neither. Maybe sometimes you don't know.
Is that feedback? Calling you by a nickname that you haven't. If I called you
Feedback is
something
if
and you were
you,
like, "Oh, that's not my nickname, by the way," I
Well,
would expect like
I don't think that's like the depth of
I wouldn't
mean, that's
stop.
not-
Like I would
that's not
stop somebody from
extreme.
calling me a name I don't want to be called.
That, yeah, you would. Don't fucking.
I
do
said
that.
I would.
You did
Okay.
too.
I said I
Okay.
would.
I thought you said you
So that's how you assess whether or not. I mean, if I started calling you backwards hat and you hated it and you said something,
That's
oh,
agreed.
thanks for telling me. But if I call you that and you're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Joe thinks I'm just like that. That's how people get nicknames. I didn't just pick up Joey Bridges. You picked up something about me and it was like Joey Bridges. Oh, that does make sense. I like Katie Fingers because it goes with Magic Fingers. Is it a big deal? No, I'll call it differently, but it's not it's part of the nickname.
I think I used a bad example.
It's part of the
'Cause
nickname
I
already.
think you were saying something and then we lost it with the fingers thing.
Yeah, we're going.
that sounds like
No,
a
we were going to
mob
my
boss.
ego. I was like, we were talking about my ego. My ego's very popular.
Like it's them, not me.
No, it's not. It's just everybody's so fascinated by my ego.
Them, not me. That's what I said.
Yeah,
It's exactly what I said.
I'm fascinated
Bro.
by it too, but not to the point where like it always goes into that conversation.
I
It's like
understand.
when we get in that space, people just want to talk about me. I don't want to talk about
You
me.
think everybody wants to talk about you?
No, I don't. I just feel like it always goes there.
A lot of
So yes
eyes.
or no? I can't figure that out. You said no, and then you said no, and then yes. You think it always goes there?
It does always go there.
That everybody
Maybe
thinks
I
about,
do it.
That,
Maybe I do
that
it.
everybody's thinking about you.
I do that.
You think that everybody's thinking
No,
about
I
you.
must do that.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
a
think
case
that.
study.
So that's part of your ego,
right?
You
I
should
know,
write
it's
this
great.
stuff down. This
It
is
goes
good.
by, like, no, it just seems to be
You're having a
hot
vulnerable
topic
moment.
of conversation in a certain
He's
group.
having a vulnerable moment.
in a
Would you
certain
agree?
group, in a certain group of
Is that on
people,
you?
And we're
it
kind of
seems to be a
attacking
very
right now.
fascinating thing.
Joey, it's on
So
you.
like, I should probably find it more fascinating than a lot of people do because I don't give a fuck. Like, I kind of like just keep going, but a lot of other people find my ego fascinating.
Tell me more.
So, like, just keep your ego in check, and I'll keep mine. Like, I'm not
I'm
gonna.
putting my ego in
I don't
my
want to
back
shoot.
pocket.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
So-
go there
yeah.
to begin
What
with.
else?
My whole thing is like my ego.
Feels like it's the shit.
Yo, I'm the shit.
Right? I don't believe that about myself. I feel
I'm
like
the
I'm
shit.
just cool, but
I'm
like
the
if you
fucking
fucking
man.
shoot me, I'm gonna shoot you right back. Like I'm pulling it out.
My ego's
Your
bulletproof.
ego, no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So, but that's how your ego works. Your
Yep.
ego thinks it can be. It's the like, the grand masculine like fucking
That's
thing.
not what
Can't
I
even
said.
take a gay joke.
I just said what?
Can't
That's
even
what I'm
take
saying.
a
That's
gay
the
joke.
that's the gun right there.
Allegedly hates the gays. His ego.
So-
That's not what I said. I've never
Watch out.
said
well,
that.
it was read between your lines.
I got some like real. I got some.
That's your
friends
vulnerability.
I got some friends that are gay,
That doesn't count.
and I love them.
Oh,
it has
good. That
nothing to
counts,
do. It has like my ego has. I don't think I can't remember a time that I've ever like had someone say a gay joke that I was offended by because I'm
I don't
not.
remember that either. I just remember.
So when you get feedback, you feel like somebody's shooting at you, and then you shoot back. That's what you do.
No, definitely not. Was I getting feedback? Was this a moment that I was getting?
No, I'm
feedback?
asking you. At what point do you decide to shoot? Because you said you got a gun in one of your hands. Like, at what point do you feel like it's necessary for you to start shooting?
Yeah, when someone is deliberately attacking.
Like what?
What's the difference between attacking and giving like legit?
When you don't
feedback?
ask for it.
Do you ask before
that-
you?
that makes sense.
Do you,
But hang on a
do you
second.
ask to
There's
communicate?
ways that people ask that they should, like, you can lean into or get into a conversation about it, be like, you know, would you mind if we were, since this is my question, right? That's your question, right? So you're answering the question based on the question. Now, if I said, hey, would you mind if I assessed if I critiqued your answer? Because I think you're wrong about your egos. I think you got a little bit you haven't explored about your egos. But did I offer that feedback? I don't give a fuck. Just like, I don't
if you
want
wanted
it.
to, you could.
But I don't want to. There's
But
not necessary to go into that. That's your way of painting. That's your ego that you want to keep in check. Do it your damn self. Don't pull at me, and then I'm gonna pull back.
What happens when it
So if
affects?
we want to really like get into
Wait, hold up.
my ego is effective in these situations.
Okay, so you can put the camera back on me. I am friends with Peter, because Peter challenges me to step out of my box, to become a better person. He challenges my ego. He challenges some of my beliefs. And sometimes I tell Peter, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not ready for that right now. And Peter fucking packs his bag and fucking goes on his way until I'm ready to actually go down that road. So the only way that people get better is by being challenged.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Sure.
And from what you just said, and you can take this however you want to take it, from what you just said about not getting feedback, is you're happy with the little bubble that you're in. Because if we don't get challenged and we don't get feedback, then we'll always remain in the same space.
True.
So not getting feedback is not a good place to be.
When is feedback effective?
So I
It's
think
different for
that's
everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
It's when
that's
someone's
the kicker.
open
That's why
to
you need to
take
know
it.
yourself. Of like, you know
Right.
what? Actually, I know that I am working on that myself. Like, thanks for also saying that. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
I know that's one of the things I need to work on. Versus like, man, that came out of left field, and everyone else seemed to like it. And should I take that into consideration? Even like, where is that coming from? Where's like the stem of this pat on the back and good advice coming from? And who's it coming from? But yeah, like that's the tough part, is deciding whether or not you should take the advice. And obviously when you're giving advice, I don't think I'm necessarily good at giving a lot of advice or do it that often, because when it's unsolicited, like you were talking about, like because of the fact that puts you at a advice givable that elevates you to some point, unless you're just like, hey, you're really screwing up this situation. But I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, you're getting ready to drive drunk.
yeah.
I don't think you should be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see,
That's like
Oh, well, that's just
that
like,
kind of
that's
unsolicited
life or
feedback
death.
is
Yeah.
great.
You just
Like,
referenced me. What was the reference to me when I said earlier? You said
It might have been you, or might have been
As far as
they
what?
would agree
but I'm
too
just-
that unsolicited feedback is ineffective. They would
Oh,
agree to that.
let me explain.
But if someone comes up to you and you're
I
like, man,
disagree.
you're an idol at this, I want to hear this.
I disagree.
Sure.
Hold on.
I
So
You
disagree.
don't think it's effective?
as far as
It's
unsolicited,
effective in an argument.
as far as no, it's not. As
If
far,
you're trying to start an argument,
if you
that's
want,
not-
if you want to argue,
If you want to argue,
Unsolicited
that's
feedback-
so effective.
Unsolicited-
Give unsolicited feedback. That's very effective.
What do you
starting
say?
an argument.
What do you
That's
say?
what it is. So
Unsolicited.
I got that
You
out.
want
Thank
it
you.
on
I
you?
appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to
put it
come
on you. Say it again.
I already said it.
You say it on the thing, man.
Well, I'm just
I
gonna
just
say-
asked you if you want it on you. So you did.
Unsolicited feedback is ineffective, or not as effective as solicited feedback. Like requesting.
Which one is it? Is it not effective or not as effective?
Not as effective.
Not as effective.
Because you
Okay.
can't, like, speaking in absolutes is really hard to do,
Okay.
right? And you guys seem to have a very good grasp at speaking in absolutes.
I don't speak in absolute.
It sounds like it sometimes. Ego.
That was an absolute.
We're talking about egos.
So for me, for me, I look for feedback. Like I get excited about it because in that is the value for me.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of it. I'm not building.
You get it often? Did you get
All
it
the
often?
time.
Had you gotten it often prior to being open to it?
my whole life.
Your whole life? Like
In a-
strong?
in a-
like all the time?
In a way
unsolicited?
in
and
a
like,
way, yeah. Because I don't.
They
people-
think that makes a difference in somebody's way of receiving feedback now as an adult, possibly, like their what they had gone through prior to, and unsolicited feedback, and where that is. You got to take all that into account.
I don't
How
understand.
what you went through, what
Yeah.
you went through, what
I'm
you
talking
went through.
about. I'm talking about me right now,
I understand.
and why I feel like unsolicited feedback has value for me. Do you want to have that conversation or no?
No.
Okay, I do. So the camera's on me.
Go ahead.
As far as me, unsolicited feedback, I can have value in that. No, like when you called me pompous, I didn't ask you for feedback.
You started an argument with me. You
just
did ask for
you
the
just
feedback.
you just said that. You said
That's
that you're
asking.
pompous,
That's
and I
asking.
found tremendous value in that. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna allow, even if your come from was trying to hurt my feelings. You see what I'm saying? If that's, and I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying if that was anybody that had like a hurtful thing to say about me, I still ask myself whether or not there's value in that feedback for me or not. I don't run from it. I don't act like it doesn't matter because I don't want to hear it. And a lot of people do that who have problems with feedback. And maybe, and if you ask me to be honest, I feel like you do have a problem along those lines. I feel like you hear some feedback and then you say, I don't give a fuck about that feedback anyway.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, you
Absolutely,
can do that.
right? But
That's the
what
difference.
What I'm
That's a
saying,
choice.
what I'm saying is, you rob yourself. Me personally, I'd be robbing myself of the value of
I
that.
take it, but I've taken it to the point. I've already said that. At a point when I was 30, I wasn't giving a fuck, right? But then at another point, I shifted into thinking like, there was a lot of times I was beating myself up over feedback from other people that I might have not even said it verbally, right? So then I went to a point of not giving a fuck. So that's why my ego's now to the point where like, shut up with your unsolicited feedback. Like that's a different story about me.
So
you
I
can
got a question.
take it or leave it. Like,
I hear what you're saying.
I'll take a little bit of what you got.
I heard
I've heard that a lot.
I heard what you said. So do you see what I'm saying as being like a real life thing, or do you think I'm just crazy by saying that I find tremendous value in getting feedback at any given time?
I still don't. Not for
You-
me.
but
Not
you-
for me.
no, not for-
for
but
me.
I'm
So
asking
I
for
can
me.
see it in other
Like
people's
if he says he
lives.
likes like caviar, I don't like caviar.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
believe that
I just
he
don't wanna
really
go out
enjoys
and
caviar.
and just start offering advice, and that's what it sounds like.
It's not really advice. Like feedback's not advice.
No, it's not.
So a couple of things for me. Feedback, like unsolicited feedback for me, like I get to hear whatever that feedback is, whether I like it or not, and I get to put that, even if it pisses me off, I get to put that in my pocket for later.
Yeah.
And I can go back and say, yo, this person said this. Let me check in on that. When I'm not in such a hot-headed
Yeah,
mood.
even when they said it. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Even
So-
though they said it from that.
You can say whatever you want to say in the most upset way. I might even respond to it, but at the end of the day, I still got that. I still got that feedback, and I can always reach in my back pocket and grab that feedback, and see how true that feedback is.
I also think I don't want to cut you off, but I also think it's very important to accept feedback if you're part of a team. If I'm going through a journey with somebody and that person is unwilling to see how they show up and how they smell like cabbage to not only me but to everybody else, that person at some point has to care that they do that, or otherwise you just don't be part of the team.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I think that's all along with accountability of people. Of if you're gonna say you're gonna be my teammate, and we have this goal together. We all have talked about what this goal is. If you're not gonna accept feedback, then where we started was the best that you can be. You're never gonna grow from that. You know what I mean? So we're never gonna reach this goal, and the accountability of you being on this team is pretty tough right now. Like, yeah. Definitely.
Ryan says unsolicited feedback oftentimes is the most honest feedback. Totally.
Field.
I tried giving some feedback a while back and it didn't seem to be taken very well. I totally agree that unsolicited feedback is probably the most honest. My thing is it the most effective? And and you can take it as the most honest and talk about it later. Why is your mind blown right now? But it's an honest assessment. Is that I did not say that it's effective.
Listen,
Is
that
it
was my
ineffective
that was
or
my
effective?
question. That was my question to me.
And it's not as effective.
I'm not going to lose its ability to be effective if you do. I can tell you it could be of the utmost. It could be super effective for me. You can't rob me of letting it be effective for me. You can just. I don't need to ask who for what. What am I asking for? What to give feedback to somebody? Do I ask if somebody wants feedback? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Do I ask
yeah,
what?
for the feedback you the unsolicited. Let's define.
It's always
unsolicited is just in the middle of your interaction.
It's always invited for me. Always.
Right for you.
No, that's what I'm telling you. So like when you
It's
say you
not
think
always invited for everyone.
I understand that. I
We
heard
know
you.
that, right?
I know, but I want you to say the same thing for me. That you understand that for me it is,
I do.
and that I find tremendous value. So
Right.
when you turn around and you put the camera on you and you say it isn't valuable
As effective.
for you, say for me. It's not effective for me. Just say that because I'm telling you it is for me.
I don't know if it. No.
Because no, because you won't give it to me.
Because there would be a study that would say like
Well,
what's
there's a
more
study.
effective. The fucking class says that. What are you guys talking about? Unsolicited feedback is not as effective as asking someone for their feedback. Hey man, can I ask you? Not even that. Not even can I ask you? But in the moment, you being a mechanic, an expert, while I'm working on my car. Wait, let me fucking talk.
Go ahead.
Like I'm working on my car. You could be like, hey man, do you mind if I show you something? Instead of just trying to, hey, let me get in there and do that shit for you because I'm the expert. I know what the fuck I'm doing. That's your ego. You have to ask for it, and it's more effective. Bullshit, you guys fucking know that already. You guys know that. You already know.
So what do you do? Wait. So what do you do when the person never asks for feedback?
You don't fucking give it to them. You let them do what the fuck they want. That's their fucking life. I don't want it.
That's fair.
And if we get into an argument about it, it'll come out and then you can say it. Like, play my game. I don't know.
If you're part of a team and you're never open to feedback, do you expect?
I'm always open to feedback, though.
You just said you're not.
No, I didn't. You have this idea that I am.
Joe.
But you can tell me things and you do more than I tell you. You tell me more than I tell you. It's not necessary. I don't need all that.
You just said that you're not open for feedback. Never. I just asked you just now.
I said,
Joe. I just asked you just now. I asked you if you were open for feedback. And what do you do when someone's never open for feedback?
You leave them alone.
You said don't give it to me.
Is that me?
You said don't give it to me.
I said leave them alone. Then I went into and I switched into that perspective. That person is leave me the fuck alone if I don't ask for it. But you asked is someone. I said yes. That someone you should leave them the fuck alone. But you know it's about me and you.
That's okay.
But you know it's right. But you didn't say that to begin with.
Joseph.
That's your issue. You have an issue with me.
I don't have an issue with you.
I don't.
I have zero issue with you.
This is not just talking about some random person. This is
I
the discussion.
I put the question specifically to you, Joseph.
No, you didn't. You said, if someone is not open to feedback all the time, what do? I said, you leave that fucking someone alone.
And I said, you.
And then I said, leave me the fuck alone if that's the case.
Joseph, I said, you, and I quoted what you said. What you said.
I have trouble giving feedback, is what I said. That's how this whole started.
Okay, you have trouble giving feedback, and you have trouble receiving feedback. Did you say that or not?
Because I don't want to hear the. Yeah, I did say that.
How does your ego hinder you, Joseph?
That is what I said.
That is part of the question. How does it hinder you?
How does it hinder me now?
Yeah.
So, in these situations, it wants to be right. In these situations, it's totally using.
Here, turn it around.
It's totally using. In this situations, it's wanting to be right. It's using a gun instead of just regular talk on the microphone, and yeah. So, how does it hinder me?
You think it affects your ability for connection?
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Of course.
Because I care to ask. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. So everybody's ego does that. Our connection isn't just my fault. I don't like your ego either. So yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking.
It affects everybody's. I would just rather be left alone.
It does for me too.
Instead of focused on.
Sometimes my ego causes a break in connection for me too.
But I almost like that break in connection. Like I don't have to deal with it.
That's cool.
It's not necessary.
I think that you do like it.
How?
I don't know.
If I don't.
Because I think you want the connection, but then you want to put off the aura like I'm cool regardless, and that's cool because you probably are.
Because I am.
You're right, but that, like you said, it does affect your ability to stay connected to people.
This is
my experience.
Yeah, and your experience is correct. To connections that I feel like wanting to keep alive.
Right.
Like it was like how long? I mean, we can get. Yesterday, the day before, is like one of the first times you want to stop by, like randomly.
I was in the area.
I know, but I'm just saying. So like, how you gonna tell me like that? It's just me hindering connections. You.
I'm never, Joseph. I'm never down there. Joseph, I'm never down. First off, I'm gonna answer the question you just asked me. I'm never down there, and I'm never on this side of town.
But I don't care.
If you ask him, he'll tell you. I'm always running here and running there. I said, you know what? I'm in the area. Let me hit Joe up and see if he's available. I wasn't looking for no points. I wasn't looking for no nothing. All I was doing was stopping by to say what's up. I didn't need nothing from you. Period.
Yeah, I know.
I was in the area. Let me hit you up.
I didn't want to get into that. I'm just saying.
Yo,
like,
you
it's
but
not
you
that I
brought
don't-
Joe. You can't say I didn't want to get into that, and then you just brought that shit
Yeah,
up.
to make a point that like if you want fucking connection, then you would have fucking made that connection. I'm not interested in furthering that connection. How about that? Like,
You're not
that's
interested in that?
Like it wasn't like.
Are you interested in furthering the
Jesus.
connection with me? Yes or no, Joseph?
Yes. Oh my god, man.
You brought it up. I didn't bring this shit up.
No,
you
it got brought up by saying that I'm hindering my connections.
I didn't bring that
my
up.
ego being. The question was
you said
asked
it hinders
in
your
direct.
connection.
Yeah.
I asked.
No, you
if it-
asked the question.
and you
How
said
does
yes.
it? But I'm aware of that. I am okay with that.
Okay.
Like, I don't
That's how
want
it led to
those.
this conversation. That's it.
Because all it turns into is like an assessment of who I am. Like,
No,
can't you
it
just
could-
be
it could-
cool?
it could generate-
That's not a like unsolicited feedback. Doesn't have to be like a fucking. You don't have to pick at each other, dude. Like that would piss me off. Your upbringing. You told me about. I hated that shit. Picking at each other about true things or not. Fucking stop. That
What are you
shit would
talking
annoy the
about?
fuck out of me. The way you grew up and you said. Me and my I could roast anybody. Like, yo, that was a bother in
That's
my
your
life.
problem. That's
no,
not my
Hold
problem.
on.
doesn't matter. You have to be mindful of
Who
it.
does
But
that?
I haven't picked on
He's
you. I
never
haven't
done
made
that.
jokes about you. I haven't roasted
Fine,
you.
that's fine. That's
That-
So
fine.
how does
why
that
is this
bother
coming
you?
up?
Because you're doing it in other areas. Like your feedback all the time is unsolicited and unnecessary, and it triggers and reminds me of other things. You can't take that feedback.
I'm good, bro.
Yeah, you
It's
can't take
unsolicited.
that feedback.
It's unsolicited. Remember?
Exactly.
unsolicited.
Exactly.
I'm gonna abide by
That's
your rules.
unsolicited. That's the best thing to do. Because unsolicited is
How is that the best thing to do,
because it's
Joseph?
ineffective. Is this effective right now? It's showing. It's proving. I just told
Joe.
you I'm using my gun. I didn't say I was being an effective communicator.
Joseph,
I
I
said I'm
asked
using
you-
my ego right now. And does it
I don't think- I
serve
don't-
me?
okay, so-
and it's not. Is this effective? No. So
The-
you're proving it.
So the reason really why I got up, because this doesn't need to be on the show, but if you want to have this talk after this, I would love to have this talk with you. And that's what's wrong with
I
my
don't wanna
fucking ego.
have this talk.
That's
That's
yo,
the
Joseph,
thing.
you can't have this fucking talk and then come to me
You
and say
brought
you don't
it
want to
up.
have this
All right,
talk.
hold up,
I didn't
hold
bring this up.
You brought up my ego. Not necessary.
Listen.
We answered the questions.
Yo, I'm
but
telling you,
instead of
Joseph.
just answering your own question, leave me the fuck out of your question. You wanted to bring me into it, so I started defending my fucking self.
Yo.
That's when my ego serves me. When it defends me. Because I don't bring it out to begin with. Yours is always fucking there. Your shit is always on fucking blast. Look at me. I don't want people to look at me. But then it brings it out, so that's my ego. Let's have an ego discussion, Mr. fucking Captain. I'm here
let's have it.
everywhere.
Let's have it, Joseph.
We're
I'm
having
okay
it.
with it.
Can we have it off camera then? Because I don't.
It's not necessary. I didn't want to have it to begin
Joseph,
with.
you just
You brought it up. Let's go. It's
Uh,
on camera. That's what happened. Didn't I just say? No, I don't want to talk about it. That's why I said my ego wants to fucking do that.
Yo,
I'd rather
Joseph,
just
don't play
chill.
with me, bro. I'm telling
Who's
you right now,
playing,
don't
man?
play with me.
All right,
What are you
listen.
talking about? Is your ego getting upset now?
Listen, man.
No, my ego's fine, bro.
Okay, so play with you how?
Don't play with me.
What do you mean?
Joseph, I've
Like
shown
have
you,
mine? Like
Joseph,
are we
I've
battling?
shown you the
Are we
utmost
battling?
respect, bro.
So am I. So
This is not respectful.
Don't antagonize.
what's not
I
respectful?
feel like you're
Unsolicited
antagonizing the
feedback is
situation.
disrespectful.
Listen.
It's
That's not what I said, Joseph.
Then what is disrespectful?
What I requested was for us to have this off air. That's what I
Let's
requested.
get into the next
Period.
question.
That was the last question.
I want to thank Alex for coming on.
Yeah,
Sometimes-
thank you guys. I'm
Into
like this.
I feel
I'm
like-
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
I
get
actually
through
Ryan
conversations.
asked for more argument and controversy. It's on
Yeah.
the show. Gotta let us see it through. Yeah, it's on
It's
the show.
real
It's on
life.
the show. Ryan's like about
Real
it,
life.
fucking talking out. But whatever. We don't. But let's not be vulnerable. Like you want to put me on blast to be vulnerable.
And we're
but
back.
when we're off the fucking, let's get off
Joseph,
the mic so I
don't
don't have
play
to
with
be
me, bro.
vulnerable. Say, don't play with who? Who's playing, bro?
You are.
No, I'm not playing.
I've showed
It
you the
wouldn't come
utmost
out of my
respect.
mouth.
Don't disrespect me, Joseph.
Nobody's disrespecting
I've shown you the
I'm-
utmost respect. Don't disrespect
Yo,
me.
listen.
It's a request.
I'm just observing.
So, Alex, thank you for coming on the show, bro.
Thank you
I
guys.
appreciate you.
Of course.
Obviously, we try to get to situations where we're having real
You
conversations.
guys get deep. I like it.
I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, we'll just send it out on that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, thanks for coming on the show. We'll let you know about the anniversary show.
Yeah, for sure. Let
and
me
then
know.
I'll add you on Facebook if you have shows in the area or
Yeah,
whatever.
for sure.
I just shared Dre, so we'll come on.
Okay, great, great.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you
very
guys
much.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
See,
was fun.
For the hell of it.